Thank you, Noel. Good afternoon, conference.
Good afternoon.
Just to introduce myself, as been said, I am David Jones. I'm a councillor at the new Armagh Banbridge and Craigavon Council. I voted in just May a year ago. Just to say, it's a great pleasure to be here today amongst friends and colleagues from up and down the country. I would also like to welcome our friends from the mainland, our friends from Leave.eu, and our friends from the Better Off campaign to this gathering. Our party conference, often party conferences take place in Blackpool, Margate and even sunny Torquay. Well, here we are embracing Carrickfergus today. I suppose it was good enough for William Orange, still long gone. It's good enough for us as well. We have our conference today at a very poignant time in the history of our province. Another deal has been done. We have had a period of hokey-cokey ministers, and a new deal has been done. The First Minister has decided to retire. And it is an inescapable reality that at the head of our government, we know there is a party that is linked to armed Army Council. This is unacceptable. I don't believe for one moment that our colleagues on the mainland would accept that. Our Scottish friends have to deal with the SNP on a daily basis, but compared to Sinn Féin and their comrades, the SNP are pussycats. The days, the weeks and months ahead will give an insight and tell us whether this deal that the executive parties have agreed is actually worth the paper it is written on. One wonders what took 10 weeks of talks to achieve when they had been given. Sadly, somewhere within those 10 weeks, they lost sight of the original issue that brought them out, the influence of the provisional IRA and Sinn Féin, and of course, the victims conveniently parked for another day. As a local councillor in the new ABC Super Council, and I use the word super advisedly, I see on a daily basis the lack of action by storming departments. No grass cutting has turned Craigavon into a mini jungle, and few road repairs being carried out. How do you attract industry to an area looking derelict or bankrupt? Lack of resources in the NHS means difficulties getting an appointment with your GP. Long waiting lists for hospital admissions and referrals to specialists. Lack of speech, language and other therapists. Reduced hours for community care, given increased hospital admissions for the elderly and most vulnerable, especially with the onset of winter. From an area with a high density migrant population, monies have been spent on interpreters who seem to have no trouble getting an appointment with the GP, and that money seems a waste. We need a reformed NHS with more resources being given to frontline services, fewer managers and heads of services. Let's continue to have a publicly funded NHS, but for United Kingdom citizens. Being inside the European Union means we have no control over our own borders. The EU freedom of movement means that our borders with every other EU member state are wide open. This has led to a large swathe of immigrants from poorer EU member states in Eastern Europe coming to the UK, with the government powers to restrict numbers or to choose who can live in the UK and who can't. This is insanity. It puts stress on our already scarce resources and drives down wages. We are the only party in the United Kingdom that has a land border with another member state. In England they talk about health tourism from the continent. Here we have it on a daily basis, where citizens from the Republic of Ireland cross the border to the north to receive free medical care. When you ask the government how much this costs the British taxpayer, no one seems to know. I say it's time that they actually found out and told us. In Germany, Mrs. Merkel welcomed migrants into Europe over the summer. Her statements were interpreted as a call to action by economic migrants and refugees alike across the Middle East and North Africa to up sticks and make their trek towards European cities. Recent events have sadly shown what a mistake that was. The truth is that many of these migrants left safe environments in refugee camps already established in Turkey. Not comfortable perhaps, but still not life-threatening. Now, of course, they have found safety in land refuge. This raises the question, when is a refugee a refugee? Theresa May now says that they will be vetted to make sure they are who they say they are. I hope she is right, because the citizens of Germany and the rest of Europe are beginning to realise that their leaders made a huge mistake. The harrowing events of last weekend's tragedies in Paris and also Mali have put into perspective the reality of what we may well now be dealing with. These violent cowardly attacks on ordinary people by terrorists are an attack on Western civilization, our values, our freedoms and our livelihoods. Well, we know what has happened here before. It has come to light so far that at least one of the attackers posed as a Syrian refugee and entered Europe via Greece. Somehow this news seems to have come as a surprise to those in European positions of power. It shouldn't have. Nigel Farage and UKIP had been warning for some time that by welcoming hundreds of thousands of migrants from the Middle East into European cities, there is a serious risk that Islamic State could take advantage of the migrant crisis to infiltrate our nations. Be in no doubt, it has been and still is happening. When these terrorists warned that they would use the migrant crisis to flood Europe with militants, people should have taken them at their word and acted accordingly, not opened the door to anybody and everybody. We now have the EU head honcho, Cllr, saying that these events should not change any EU migration policy. A sadly typical reaction, but that is a worrying thought. Once again, we see the EU not wanting to admit that they were wrong, hiding their heads in the sand. So where does UKIP stand on immigration? Yes, controlled immigration is good for our country and can bring benefits. Uncontrolled and unfiltered immigration on the scale that is currently taking place is simply not sensible. It can in fact be quite dangerous. I for one believe that an unelected bureaucrat like Juncker should not be the one dictating the migration policy for the United Kingdom. As I previously mentioned, we have in Northern Ireland, we are the only part of the United Kingdom with a land border, a porous land border at that. We need to control our own borders, and the only way to do that is by getting out of the failed European Union. UKIP is out on the ground right now and leading that charge, and will continue to be, in saying that it is time to get out of the EU. We are not sitting on the fence on this issue. Other local parties do not appear to have made up their minds. While others dither, we deliver. We are the one party offering a real and true alternative to the failed executive parties of old. Our mission is that of people-centred change and fresh and positive ideals for our country. Something we will be highlighting over the coming months as we move towards the May elections. We want to see government work in Northern Ireland. Not the sort of government that we have seen so far. It has quite frankly been a shambles, stumbling from crisis to crisis. The parties and the politics of the old here have failed us. We need to regroup and move forward and to represent the people. It is time to rethink. It is time for change. It is time for UKIP. Thank you for coming.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.